It started like any other day on our ranch. The morning sun stretched golden rays over the rolling fields, the soft whinnies of our horses breaking the quiet. I had always loved this life, the smell of hay, the rhythmic clatter of hooves, the bond between human and animal. But that day something changed. That day my husband asked me to do something with our horse that sent a chill down my spine. I remember standing by the fence, brushing out the silky mane of our mare, Daisy. She was a gentle creature, always nuzzling into my palm for treats, her big brown eyes full of trust. But when my husband walked up, camera in hand, I could tell something was different. There was a strange energy in the air, an unspoken tension that made my stomach twist. "You're gonna do this," he said, voice steady but firm, "and I'm going to film it." I laughed at first, thinking he was joking, but the way he stared at me, waiting, made my throat go dry. My fingers tightened around the brush as I asked, "Why?" He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "People will love it. Trust me." Trust. That word echoed in my head as he stepped closer, his grip on the camera tightening. I had trusted him through so much, through the struggles of our marriage, the financial stress of keeping the ranch afloat, the late nights when he barely spoke to me anymore. But this was different. I glanced at Daisy, her ears flicking back as if she sensed the shift in my mood. Could she feel my hesitation? Could she tell that something about this moment wasn't right? A deep breath filled my lungs, but it did little to steady my nerves. My husband was waiting, his expression unreadable. The weight of his expectations pressed down on me, heavier than any saddle I'd ever lifted. What would happen if I refused? I wanted to say no. I wanted to turn away, walk back to the house, pretend none of this was happening. But then he raised the camera, his finger hovering over the record button, and I knew I was out of time. My heart pounded as I took a step forward, my mind racing with possibilities. I didn't know where this would lead, but one thing was certain: nothing would be the same after today. And so, with the camera rolling and my husband's eyes locked on mine, I did the one thing I never thought I'd do. The moment his finger pressed the record button, I felt trapped. The red light on the camera blinked like a warning, a silent reminder that whatever happened next would be captured forever. My palms were sweaty, my breath uneven. Daisy shifted beside me, her muscles tensing under my hesitant touch. She was waiting, just like my husband, just like the camera. My mind raced back to when we first got Daisy. She had been a rescue, skittish and afraid, her ribs showing beneath her dull coat. I had spent months earning her trust, teaching her that human hands could be gentle, that love didn't have to come with fear. Now, as she stood beside me, I realized something. She trusted me, but did I trust the man standing in front of me? I glanced at my husband, searching his face for something: reassurance, understanding, maybe even hesitation. But there was nothing, just quiet expectation. He had always been like this, so sure of himself, so certain that his way was the right way. In the early days of our marriage, I admired that about him. I thought his confidence meant safety, that as long as he led, I'd never be lost. But now I wasn't so sure. My fingers trembled as I stroked Daisy's neck, my voice barely above a whisper. "Are you sure about this?" His expression didn't change. "Just do it. It'll be over before you know it." A lump formed in my throat. That was the thing about him. He never saw the weight of his requests. To him it was always simple. Just do this, just agree, just go along with it. But what if this was the moment I didn't? The camera lens stared at me like an unblinking eye, waiting to capture something I wasn't ready to give. I swallowed hard, my heart hammering so loudly I was sure Daisy could hear it. She shifted her weight, her ears flicking back, sensing the unease that filled the air. Memories flooded my mind. Late nights when he'd pushed me just a little too far, moments when I said yes, even when my gut screamed no. And every time I told myself it was fine, that I was overreacting. That love meant compromise. But standing here now with the camera between us, I felt the weight of every unspoken doubt pressing down on me. Daisy let out a deep breath, nudging my arm with her nose as if to remind me she was still there. Her trust in me was simple, unshaken. But my trust in him, that was starting to crack. I looked at my husband one last time, knowing that whatever I did next, it would change everything. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of dust and hay as I stood frozen in place. My husband's patience was thinning. I could see it in the way his jaw tightened, the way he shifted his weight like he was ready to step in and take control. He hated. Being a good wife meant trusting him. But now, standing in front of the camera, I realized something terrifying. Every yes I had given him in the past had led to this moment. He sighed sharply, lowering the camera just slightly. "Come on, don't make this a big deal." That was how it always went. I was the one making things complicated. I was the one overthinking. He made me feel like my instincts didn't matter, like my discomfort wasn't real. But it was real. I could feel it like a weight in my chest, pressing down harder with every second that passed. And for the first time, I didn't know if I could ignore it anymore. The camera was still rolling. His grip on it tightened, his eyes dark with expectation. I could feel the weight of his gaze pressing against me, pushing me toward a decision I wasn't ready to make. The silence between us stretched, thick and suffocating, only broken by the distant rustling of leaves and the occasional snort from Daisy. My hands trembled as I stroked her neck, trying to steady myself. I could sense her unease now more than ever. Her muscles were tense, her ears flicking back and forth as if she too was caught between staying and running. Maybe she wasn't the only one who needed saving. "I don't think this is a good idea," I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. His expression hardened. "Why are you acting like this?" His voice wasn't loud, but there was an edge to it that sent a chill down my spine. It was the voice he used when he wanted me to stop thinking and just do. I swallowed, glancing at the camera, at the red light that continued to blink, recording everything, capturing my hesitation, my fear, this moment that felt bigger than either of us realized. He took a step closer. "You know how much this means to me." And there it was. The same line he had used so many times before, a reminder that his wants, his ideas, his vision always came first. My pulse pounded in my ears. The tension in the air had shifted into something else, something more dangerous. I suddenly realized that whatever happened next would decide everything. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I was going to give him what he wanted. Daisy shifted again, her hooves scuffing the dirt, her body tense beneath my fingertips. I felt like I was suffocating, like the weight of this moment was pressing down on my chest, making it impossible to breathe. My husband was still staring at me, waiting, his patience unraveling with every passing second. I had seen this look before, but never like this. Never with this much expectation, this much quiet demand. Then, out of nowhere, the sound of a car engine rumbled in the distance. My breath hitched. We weren't expecting anyone. His eyes flickered toward the driveway, and for the first time, uncertainty crossed his face. That's when I knew, whatever he had planned, he didn't want an audience. Daisy let out a sharp exhale, almost as if she had picked up on the sudden shift in the air. My husband took a step back, lowering the camera slightly, but his fingers still hovered over the record button. His jaw clenched, his whole body rigid, as the sound of tires crunching against gravel grew closer. Then the car came into view. My stomach dropped. It was my sister. I hadn't told her what was happening, hadn't even hinted at the strange tension brewing between me and my husband. But somehow she was here. And the moment I saw her expression, worried, searching, I knew she could feel it too. My husband turned to me, his voice low but sharp. "Did you call her?" I shook my head quickly, but it didn't matter. The suspicion was already in his eyes. His fingers tightened around the camera, his entire posture shifting from control to frustration. The car door slammed, and within seconds, my sister was walking toward us, her gaze flicking between me and him, then settling on my trembling hands still resting against Daisy's side. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice careful but firm. I opened my mouth to speak, to say something, but the words caught in my throat. My husband turned to her, his expression shifting into something more neutral, more controlled, like a mask slipping into place. "Nothing," he said smoothly. "We were just about to film something for the ranch." Her eyes narrowed, lingering on mine, searching for an answer I couldn't give. She knew me too well. I felt Daisy nudge my arm again, grounding me, reminding me that I wasn't alone. And for the first time, I wondered if this unexpected interruption had just saved me from something I wasn't ready to face. The air was thick with silence. My sister stood just a few feet away, her arms crossed, waiting. My husband still held the camera, his grip tight, his frustration barely concealed. I could feel the tension crackling between us, an invisible line being drawn in the dirt. I knew this was it, the moment where I had to choose. My sister's eyes locked onto mine, and in that instant, I knew she wasn't going anywhere. She could sense something was wrong, she always could. My husband exhaled sharply, forcing a smile. "We were just about to wrap up, right, honey?" His voice was smooth. Too smooth, like he was trying to control the moment before it slipped through his fingers. But it was already slipping. I felt Daisy shift beneath my hand, and something inside me did the same. I thought about all the times I had ignored my instincts, all the times I had told myself I was imagining things. But standing here, with my sister watching, with Daisy's steady presence beside me, I realized I wasn't imagining anything. I turned to him slowly. "No," I said, my voice clear and steady. "We're done." His face twitched, just for a second. "What are you talking about?" His tone was light, almost amused, but I could hear the edge beneath it. I took a step back, away from him, toward my sister. "I'm not doing this." His fingers flexed around the camera, and for the briefest moment, I saw something flash across his face. Something cold, something calculating. Then, just as quickly, it was gone. He let out a small laugh, shaking his head. "You're overreacting, again." I didn't respond. I just kept backing away. My sister stepped forward, her presence solid, unwavering. And in that moment, I knew I wasn't alone. Then, the unexpected happened. Daisy, usually so calm, suddenly reared up, letting out a sharp, piercing sound that shattered the heavy silence. My husband stumbled back, his grip on the camera loosening. The device slipped from his hands, hitting the ground with a dull thud. The moment felt frozen. He looked at me, then at the camera, then back again. And I saw it, the realization that he had lost control. I didn't wait for him to react. I turned, grabbed my sister's hand, and walked away. Behind me, Daisy snorted, stamping her hoof as if she knew, as if she had been waiting for me to finally see the truth. The moment I stepped away, something inside me shifted. It was subtle, but I felt it, like a weight lifting, like I had just broken free from something I didn't even realize had been holding me down. My sister held onto my hand, her grip firm, steady. She didn't ask me anything, didn't push for answers. She just walked with me, as if she already knew. Behind us, my husband stood frozen, staring at the camera on the ground. His mouth opened like he wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Maybe he realized there was nothing he could say. Not this time. I didn't look back. We reached my sister's car, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I let out a shaky breath. I ran my hands over my face, trying to process everything. The tension, the fear, the moment Daisy had reacted like she was protecting me. It all felt like a blur, but one thing was clear. I couldn't ignore my instincts anymore. My sister finally spoke. "You don't have to explain anything," she said softly. But if you need to go, you can come with me. Tears burned my eyes, not from sadness but from relief. Someone had finally said it out loud. I could leave. I wasn't trapped. I turned back one last time, and there she was. Daisy, standing tall, her big brown eyes locked on mine. I don't know why, but I felt like she understood, like she had known all along what I needed to do. My husband still hadn't moved, still hadn't spoken. Maybe he thought I would turn around, that I would come back like I always did. But this time, I didn't. I opened the car door, climbed in, and as my sister started the engine, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. As we pulled away, I let out a breath I hadn't even realized I'd been holding. The ranch, the camera, the control, it was all behind me now, and for the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of what came next.